All right, Virgo, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. In these videos, every single week I review the major planetary aspects and transits and let you know how they're impacting your natal sun and what that means for your bottom line, your day to day. To understand these videos, all you need to know is your birth date. That's it. I will translate everything else. We're going to start off really broad with the current charts for this week, and then I'm going to focus that stuff down into Virgo specific information, and then I will break everything down into 3 decans. A decan is a group of 10 degrees, and astrologers break the 30 degrees of each zodiac sign down into those 3 groups because it's that 10-degree span that really makes or breaks an aspect. And an aspect is a relationship between 2 planets, which is how we know what energy is being generated and how it could impact you. That one of those planets is always going to be your natal sun, and so it's located somewhere in the 30 degrees of Virgo, and depending on where it is really depending on how everything else in the sky is impacting it. And you'll see if it's really all based on degrees, not if you're stuck within those 10 degrees. It's based on the actual degrees. And so I always take that into consideration. And if there are toggle points or just things right on the edge, I will tell you and I will give you exact and specific dates for that. Okay, so we get really detailed over here when it comes to our astrology. This is absolutely not a horoscope, because horoscopes are absolutely, completely ridiculous. Anyway, I still have to make a video about that, guys. So let's start out with the big stuff. This is for the week of August 18th to the 24th, 2023. Big stuff. A lot is happening between the 22nd and 23rd, actually. So what is happening on the 22nd? That's when the sun comes within 5 degrees of opposition to Saturn. And simultaneously on that day, the moon is in opposition to Jupiter. So we have a lot of opposition going on, an inclination with that moon and Jupiter to be overindulgent, over decadent, because emotionally we need the support, right? It's like eating a whole bag of Chips Ahoy because you know you're emotional. It's kind of like that. And then we have the sun opposite Saturn, and now the moon and Jupiter only lasts for a day. The moon opposite Jupiter only lasts for a day. But the sun opposite Saturn lasts for a couple weeks. It's going to be that way until September 3rd, September 4th, when Venus comes out of retrograde, by the way. But this day in particular, because the moon moves all the time and is interacting all the time, this is why all your Cancerian friends are so shifty in their emotions, because their ruling dignitary legitimately changes energies every hour. So just have a little compassion. But it's this day that both of these things are happening. It gets really intense. And I talk about this day because it will be a day where you're more inclined, where the general energy is more inclined to have pessimistic outlook and try to overcompensate with indulgences, or maybe even just be majorly emotional. The sun opposite Saturn is troublesome because it makes us all feel restricted. It makes us all get this sensation of individuality bad, like do what I say, rules, laws, regulations, and it really has this sort of oppressive energy to it. For the next 2 weeks, that's tough. We are in retrograde season. Almost all of our planets, well, by August 23rd, by the way, is when Mercury goes into retrograde, which is something that directly impacts you guys because it is your ruling dignitary. But we're all going to feel, we already feel Mercury going into retrograde, because Mercury's been slowing down. It's only moving 1 degree this week when it usually moves 10 degrees every week. So this is just this energy that is slowing down. And September 3rd will mark a time when almost every planet is in retrograde in the sky. September 4th, Venus comes out of retrograde. But we're slowing down. Retrograde season is a slowing down period, and that's just fine. But it's not fine to feel like you have no other choice. and to be getting constant reminders of the losses and the restrictions and the lack. So this, especially this day on the 22nd, could make us way more emotional than usual. And it is definitely a day of self-care, to show yourself compassion so it's easier to show others compassion, and to allow yourselves to slow down, and to not push in order to connect to faith, right? We need to ground ourselves. Grounding, especially as earth signs, would be fantastic on this day. You can ground yourself in a multiple of ways, but for earth signs, it's best to touch your bare feet in the ground, in the grass, on the sand. Wherever you are, this would be a very good time to just feel like, remind yourself that you are connected and supported by the earth. Like I said, on August 23rd, Mercury goes retrograde, but the sun also moves into Virgo. So happy Virgo season preemptively. We are celebrating Virgo season with a Mercury retrograde, and also a really another tough aspect this week into next week, which is the opposition between Mercury conjunct Mars. So much going on. So Mercury is also conjunct Mars all week long. It's actually conjunct Mars while it goes retrograde. It is conjunct Mars in Virgo. So Mercury is going retrograde the same day the sun enters Virgo. Mercury is in Virgo, and it is going retrograde the same day the sun enters Virgo. This whole week, Mercury is conjunct to Mars. So Mercury is extremely active this week, but it's in opposition to Neptune. So there's a lot of bullshit and false messaging and taking action, almost like taking action on shadows instead of what's really going on. And this is very frustrating energy all week long. So we'll get a little deeper into how that might impact your natal suns. But Mars is in opposition to Neptune. There's also this grand trine in the sky between Mars and Pluto and Uranus. Mars conjunct to Mercury, opposite Saturn. So there could be a lot of misdirection or jumbling or misconceptions and changes happening or revolutions happening because people are getting a little bit too comfortable with misinformation. I know that sounds crazy, but this is the energy. We have Venus all week long square to Jupiter, which could lead to decadence and indulgence, especially when we're feeling misguided, or we don't trust the information that's coming in, or we feel oppressed with that sun opposite Saturn. Venus, interestingly enough, is says a square. That's what I call it. About 150 degrees from Neptune, while Mercury is opposite Neptune, and Venus and Mars are are semi-square to each other. So there's friction between our divine masculine and divine feminine energy, especially with this juxtaposition of misinformation and like getting angry at shadows, at stuff that isn't even real, right? There's this energy happening that's not really great, though it can be coming to a head this week. So watch for your especially intimate relationships. I don't care if you're in a same-sex couple, that doesn't matter. There's always a masculine and a feminine energy in the relationships. So there can be a lot of conflict based on bullshit, right? And this is not a great time to start a new relationship. I'll just let you know that right now. We will get some energy back when Venus gets out of retrograde and when Mars finally is able to move on from Neptune. But ultimately, that's like almost maybe 2 weeks out. So we need to kind of let ourselves go inward right now and understand who the hell we are right now, and not so much try to be demonstrative about it, but give ourselves the space and sort of the cocoon to be able to heal and understand and grow so that we're stronger. This is a great way to use retrograde season. Yeah, so I won't say that, but I just wanted to say there is a challenging energy here with relationships right now. It could help you get to know each other better. It could help allow you to see and discover the masculine energy in your partner, the feminine energy in your partner. You could be switching roles in some ways. And that could be really wonderful and interesting, especially with all this activity with Uranus. Uranus likes to rebel and likes to not be normal. So maybe it's switching it up a bit. Like, that's great. But anything that has to do with deception or lies could really break apart relationships at this point. Just an FYI. Let's get into Virgo specific energy, shall we? What do I look at for that? So I look at what's going on in Virgo itself, and then I look at, well, what's going on with your ruling dignitary. And we talked a lot about that already. A lot's going on with Mercury. So what's going on with Virgo itself? Well, Mercury's in Virgo itself. Mercury is going to be traveling between 20 and 21 degrees Virgo this week, and it will go retrograde on the 23rd. And then Mars is also in Virgo, and it will travel between 24 and 28 degrees. It is conjunct to Mercury all week long and opposite Neptune. And then we have the moon in Virgo. And since this week starts the 18th, you're going to start off the week with the moon. The moon will be conjunct to those of you who have your natal sun in the second decan. And then by the 19th, the moon will conjunct your natal sun's third decan. Moon conjunct your sun is actually wonderful energy of feeling whole, feeling complete, and really feeling the energy of you, right? Of being able to have everything communicating in harmony and sort of have the energy to begin again. It's almost like your own mini new moon. So that is a wonderful time for those of you in the second and third decans between the 18th and the 19th to manifest and start something new. It's a wonderful time for you to do it. And then we have the sun entering Virgo on the 23rd. Between the 23rd and the 24th, it will move between 0 and 1 degrees Virgo. So for those of you in the first decan of Virgo, you get a visit from the sun. The current sun will be conjuncting your natal suns, especially for those of you who are on the Leo-Virgo cusp. Those would be those of you born around August 23rd, August 22nd, 23rd, 21st, 4th. Those would be you guys. And sun conjunct your natal suns will give you an extra boost of self-esteem, of energy, of courage, of identity, of people noticing you. This will be extra harsh though, because you do have that permanent or long-term opposition to Saturn. Now, that's been on you and pressuring you this whole year since Saturn moved into Pisces. But with the sun now conjuncting your natal suns, that's going to be exaggerated because you're going to know even greater and more and feel who you are even more. And it's going to become very noticeable what kind of obstructions or what kind of challenges that you're going to have to face with some sort of authority figure. Could even be problems with a patriarch, father figure. So just an FYI, maybe not problems with them, but issues surrounding them that are coming up. What is Mercury doing? So we have Mercury going into retrograde on the 23rd while it is conjunct to Mars. Really interesting to go retrograde while you're conjunct to Mars, considering Mars is all about energy and forward and do and action, and Mercury is going retrograde. But Mercury in retrograde is more introspective information, so the do becomes finding out and discovering the resources that you already have and how to use them better, right? Because Mercury will slow everything else down, or taking action on those things that maybe didn't get enough attention. Mercury is, however, compromised in that it is also opposite Neptune. And that is a very confusing energy. It's a very deceptive energy. Not Neptune in general, but in opposition to Neptune. Absolutely. So brain fog might be common for you this week. You are going to be more susceptible to believing things that you normally wouldn't. Virgos, you're usually extremely pedantic and you're extremely detailed. But this will be a week where all of you could be brain fogging, and things not being clear. You're having more trouble making decisions than you normally do. This would be quite common for Mercury opposite Neptune. Now, it will retrograde out of that opposition, but it will still be in retrograde. It is, like I said, in Virgo, And Mercury is actually going to be conjunct the natal suns of everybody, all of you Virgos in the third decan of Virgo, which we'll get to a little bit later. Mercury conjunct the sun is a really wonderful energy that gives you a sense of aha constantly, like a open-mindedness. But in opposition to Neptune, you could be open-minded to false statements, right? Now, if you can bear yourself and hold on to who you are and not lose yourself in misinformation, it could just be the discovery of misinformation that is starting to come up. But once again, you'll need extra time with it to make sure that you're not getting lost in something that isn't for real. It could also be a very creative time for you, but with the opposition, it could be, it could drive you to distraction. Maybe you just need to write stuff down. Maybe you just need to allow yourself to be creative right now. That could be a helpful outlet. Mercury is also trine to Uranus. So Mercury trine to Uranus is a very brilliant energy. It's really thinking way outside of the box. And that gives me a little bit of hope with this opposition to Neptune, because it could just be that you are seeing things in a way that you've never seen things before. And this could be a time of exceptional discovery, especially personal discovery, where you are interested in the weird and able to connect, especially using rationality, logic, mathematics, to connect to some undiscovered understanding of things. So this could be actually a very brilliant time for you. This is what Mercury's up to. Let's break everything down into the decans, shall we? So, like I said, a decan is a group of 10 degrees, and it doesn't actually exist in the sky. It's just something that astrologers break the charts down to so that we can organize information a little bit better. So if you know that your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Virgo, it is in the first decan of Virgo, and you are Virgo 1s. So how would you know? You have to run your natal chart. Your natal chart is easy to get. There are so many websites that do it for free. You could just search free natal chart or free birth chart, and so many websites will come up. You'll need your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. It's important to have all three. Wait to go get the natal chart until you have all three, and then you just pop it in their system and it generates it in a couple of seconds. And then you'll know exactly where your natal sun is located. So for those of you that know your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees, then you will definitely be, then you are Virgo 1s. Now, how does that correlate to birthdays? Well, I'm going to estimate here, but it usually correlates to August Virgos. So Virgos born between, say, the 22nd of August and the 31st of August would be Virgo 1s. So Virgo 1s, as of the 23rd, especially those of you born, like I said, between the 22nd and the 24th, your natal sun will conjunct the current sun, which is a bunch of knowing who the hell you are and really understanding who you are and feeling confidence. A little boost of energy and self-esteem is how you will feel this. People will actually also, you'll be more attracted, not necessarily sexually, but people will notice you more. Your natal suns have been since the beginning of this year in opposition to Saturn. So you're already feeling those pressures and those stressors, and they're meant to motivate you to change, right? To not take the status quo for what all there is, right? But now with the sun conjuncting your natal sun, this will be extraordinarily challenging energy for you, maybe even rebellious energy for you. This is a sense of really feeling or seeing and understanding responsibilities on your shoulder. It could bear itself that way too, and that you feel highly responsible now, and maybe you're taking on a more leadership role in your family, but you would definitely feel those pressures. This is definitely for the next, say, 7 days. So the next week, this will be impacting you guys a great deal. Because the sun moves about 1 degree a day, it will definitely be impacting those of you at the end of the first decan. So those of you born around, say, the 30th and 31st of August, it will start to impact you more next week. Just an FYI. And then you have a long-term quincunx to Pluto, which for the next couple of years means constant agitation when it comes to, and being really formidable when you're agitated, and kind of people backing up, and it's almost like not really being able to tolerate bullshit and being more aggressive than you normally would be, and intimidating the crap out of people, to be honest with you. It could help you get things done, but it could also throw you off and become insufferable, especially in relationships that require more gentleness. So just an FYI. That's for the next couple of years. This week, the frustration is going to be real high, though. I'll just let you know that, because of that opposition to Saturn beginning. Let's move on to Virgo 2s. If you know that your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Virgo, you are Virgo 2s. Your natal sun falls into the second decan, and you are Virgo 2s. Now, that correlates to birthdays between September 1st and the 11th. So it's in and around there, but we do get those twists and turns in between. In terms of, where the birthdays begin and end. Your natal suns are trine to Jupiter, which should give an air of optimism to who you are. And stick-to-itiveness and curiosity and maybe even travel and exploration has been what you're doing. You definitely should be doing it at this time, or you'd be more curious with different cultures and different philosophies. Wanting to learn and expand and grow through education is something that Virgos tend to be excited about. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful time for you to allow yourself to do so. You also have a quincunx to Chiron, so this could be a time for you to learn different philosophies or medicines when it comes to healing past wounds. This quincunx to Chiron would be almost like a spur in your side, a constant frustration. So it could be agitation with different injuries that are coming up. It could also be agitation with different traumas that are coming up. But for this month that you have this trine to Jupiter, or actually a couple of months that you have this trine to Jupiter, this is a great time to sort of allow yourself to let that be inspiration to learn about different options that are out there. We have also a semi-square to the south node. So your blind spots and what you're comfortable with are also starting to agitate you. And it could be that agitation in your life is coming from getting too comfortable and settling in too far into your routines instead of allowing yourself to expand and grow and learn and new things and be around different people. FYI. So let's move on to Virgo 3s. Virgo 3s. If you know that your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Virgo, it's in the third decan of Virgo. So you guys are Virgo 3s. This usually correlates to birthdays between the 12th and the 22nd of September. So right up to the Libra cusp, which would be sort of the 20th, 21st, 22nd. Yes, if you're a September 23rd Virgo, this would include you as well. It's you guys that are conjunct the Mercury-Mars conjunction. You've been in opposition to Neptune for a while. That maintains. That's something that lasts a while when it comes to your natal sun. But the fact that Mercury and Mars are there really highly activates it. So it's like you're wanting to order things and structure things and put things into order. But then there's this frustrating energy of, am I putting the right things into order? Am I listening to the right stuff? Is this information even correct? Or am I distracted? Am I finding it hard to be as orderly as I want it to be? So there could be some challenges with that, and also with fake news, fake information, and listening to the wrong stuff. Just letting you know. We also have long-term trine to Pluto and trine to Uranus. So there is a shift here. There is a harmony with the taboo and the strange and weird, especially aspects of who you are. So understanding those things more, having them come out of you, being more comfortable with them, all year long, this is going to be a beautiful journey for you that can help expand and grow and actually change the way that you see yourself. This week, though, for the next couple of weeks with that conjunction to Mars and Mercury. There's just a lot of energy here about jumping at shadows. That I just want to make it an FYI. There is also a semi-square to Venus, so there could be some juxtaposition or challenges when it comes to your relationship, your finances, or basically your relationship with your significant other and the roles that the two of you play in terms of divine masculine, divine feminine energy. You could find that to be not ruining your relationship, but frustrating it and causing more challenges in it than it usually does. Once again, this will not stay around forever, but ultimately, overall, it's a highly intense week of strange things happening that will bring up different understandings of your own capabilities and your own proclivities. You let me know in the comments below how you're experiencing this energy, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to subscribe to this channel and like the video to support the channel. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading. I will see you guys in the videos. Bye.